and welcome to H2O Stream. My name is Abby Davey, and I am here with Craig, the CEO of Aqua Membranes. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Abby, how are you today?
Very good, and yourself?
Excellent, excellent.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. I really appreciate you being with us to talk about your technology and specifically the sustainable and reducing emission side of your tech. And I'm
Sure,
delighted for our audience to hear all about it. So, but first, tell us a little bit about yourself and Aqua Membranes as a whole.
sure. Yeah, my name's Craig Beckmen. I'm the current CEO of a company called Aqua Membranes. We're a technology startup here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been in the water industry for quite a while now, going on my actually third decade. Started a little bit by accident, got a degree in engineering and thought I'd be in aerospace or automotive. And this interesting startup was interviewing at the university I graduated at. And I thought, yeah, that might be interesting to do for a year or two. And just celebrated my 30th year. So I've always
Wow.
been focused on high purity water. So think about water that is out of the tap or maybe safe enough to drink, but for whatever purpose has to be made better. So pharmaceutical production, medical device, food and beverage, seawater desal. Those are kind of the segments that I've focused on, jumped around big companies, small companies. So started at a startup, got acquired, spent some time at General Electric, then went to a different startup. That one got sold, and now I'm on my third one. So yeah, having fun.
Wow. Wow. Well, you have a great track record. And it's funny, I speak to a lot of people that accidentally find themselves in the water sector and then they
Yeah.
look, oh, that's been a few decades.
Yes. I think that's common. Yes.
It's a wonderful place to be, and
Yeah.
there's so much work to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And a little bit about Aqua Membranes. Like lots of innovations, started out of kind of necessity. Our founder actually was working on some research years ago where they were trying to make something smaller actually for portable use. So it's an industrial technology that someone who wanted to move to the consumer segment, pretty common, and started doing some experimentation, mostly in computers with some CFD modeling, thinking about, hey, if I could change this aspect of the technology, I could make it go from this size to this size. And then that actually led into, well, if I could do it on the small side, there'd actually be benefits on the big side as well. So our technology is about redesigning reverse osmosis membrane elements. It's a technology that's been around for 50 or 60 years. Quite a bit of work has been done on the actual membrane. So this is the actual polymer surface that does the separation of the water and the salt. But what Rodney Harrington, our founder, focused on early days was, I think I can put the whole package together differently using a 3D printing process. And this was 8, 10 years ago when 3D printing was really at its beginnings. And now, luckily for us, it has evolved. We have evolved and now have a commercial product running in the market and are just in that inflection point, interesting part to be in of we have actually more customers and demand than we can make the product. So it's a fun time to be in the business.
It really, really is. And one of the things I had the pleasure of meeting with you before this interview, and what caught my attention so much to Aqua Membranes was the focus on sustainability and reducing emissions. It's something which most companies around the globe are having to address right now. So I'd love to learn about that and your vision, and how you feel that your company is going to make an impact on this globe.
Yeah, I think we're seeing an interesting trend. I mean, obviously, lots of companies around the world are more focused on being better companies, both the way they make their product and then how they treat the environment to make it. So we hear the term sustainability quite a bit, social governance, things like that. And it's interesting. I've heard about this, seen it, the trend for 10 years, but really in the last year or two, I've seen companies really spend serious money on it. So in the past, it might have been, hey, we'll do it sustainably only if it's cheaper. And that was a tough nut to crack. Now it's we're going to do it sustainably, even if it's more expensive, because that's the right way to do it. Water treatment technology has not been maybe as big of a target as power production. I mean, when you think about emissions and sustainability and net zero, usually people go to how much electricity are you using and what was its generation source. But over the last couple of years, more and more people have recognized that water treatment, especially high purity water treatment, is a really big consumer of electricity.
Really?
And ours is one of the few technologies on the market today that can really make a big impact on the available electricity and how much we can cut that usage. There's always going to be a certain percentage of electricity you have to use, kind of just the laws of physics. If you want to pull good water out of bad water, there's a natural osmotic pressure, it's called, you have to overcome.
Yeah.
But there's also inefficiencies in the system, and that's really where Aqua Membranes comes in. We focus on decreasing those last few inefficiencies and getting very close to the theoretical limit of you need this much energy, this much power to make this much water. And that's really attracted the customers. One of our core customers and investors is actually the semiconductor company Micron. So they invested in our company about 1.5 years ago with this exact interest. So Micron, like lots of big tech companies, is under a lot of pressure and just wants to do the right thing. So they're looking for opportunities to reduce the energy consumption. And in their water treatment area, they chose us. We partnered together. We've got another installation going into their facility beginning of next year. Excited as we continue to put technology into their fabs around the world, how much we can help move that needle and reduce the electrical consumption. The other big segment we're seeing a lot of interest in is in seawater desal. So getting drinking water from the sea has been an option for pretty much countries around the world, anybody, for 50 years now. One of the big restrictions or concerns was how much electricity it consumes. And anything that any technology, any innovation can do to squeeze that down just a little bit further is helpful for those countries, especially in the Middle East. That's where we see it the most often. By far and away, the new contracts, the contracts that have been awarded over the last 5 years, predominantly in the Middle East region. In fact, going back there next month for another meeting to talk about innovations and technologies that can help them do it more sustainably.
That's incredible. And for Aqua Membranes 2023, what's the goals? What's the ambition?
Yeah, so our goal is really to ramp up our production. As I said, we've got a lot of customer interest, which is great. We'd love some more. So you can contact us at aquamembranes.com, probably the easiest place to contact us through our website. But right now we're investing and trying to ramp up our production because we're still a relatively small player in a really big market. Yeah. The reverse osmosis membrane market globally is estimated at 3, maybe as big as 4 billion annual spend. And so there's a lot of opportunity for us out there as a new player. And so we're trying to find partners to do some co-manufacturing with us. We're trying to get production equipment. But as everybody that's lived through the last couple of years understands, everything takes longer. So we have some very complex manufacturing equipment that we've had on order for quite a while and are still waiting for that. But it looks like we've got a date when it's here and up and running again. So beginning of 2023, we'll be ramping up our production with a goal through the year to get as many installs up and running and really prove the technology in the field. We only have a couple of sites running today, but really excited about what 2023 looks like and starting to fulfill some of that backlog and orders we've got.
Well, the one thing which I love is you're providing a service which is having that extra level of impact. And you've already given us a shout out to your website. I'll make sure it's in the details as well.
Thanks.
And is there any particular countries you're looking for partnerships?
I would say that partnerships for different markets are kind of different regions. So on the seawater desal, for example, that's really kind of a Middle Eastern focus. The technology, interestingly, also is applicable all the way down to the consumer business still as well. Really? So if we go back to our roots, that's where the technology started. Mm-hmm. There's an interesting trend we're seeing now, especially in Asia, mostly around China and India, that people are using this technology in their home. So reverse osmosis is a very effective barrier between you and the water source you have. So as consumers get more aware of the water they're using, and we get more aware of the contaminants that are just in the environment that we need to protect ourselves from, more people are looking at reverse osmosis. Very often it'll be an under the sink unit. And what our technology can bring to that market is interesting. It's not so much on the sustainability side, because in the industrial segment, it's about electricity. In the home segment, it's actually about footprint. So a consumer, as you'd understand, wants the package to be as small as possible to produce as much water as possible. And this 3D printing technology we've developed allows us to actually maximize that ratio. So it's a very small system, but it has a higher output than most people can get today. Aqua Membranes probably isn't going to be a consumer brand in Asia. So that's another reason that we're looking for partners in different parts of Asia of how could we bring this technology to them and improve their product. So our technology could enable a new product, a new innovation, a bigger output on the same footprint, something like that. So yeah, it kind of looks different in different locations. Then in North America, primarily microelectronics. So as I mentioned, Micron is kind of our core customer, working with them, others in the industry as we look to onshore more microelectronics production in North America. That's an opportunity for us as well.
It's exciting. From the consumer side, a question I get asked a lot is, do you feel that there would be an acceleration in uptake if there was more consumer knowledge, consumer sharing about water quality, water safety? Is that something that's been on your radar?
Yeah, I agree 100%. That definitely the consumers need guidance, an organization, something. It's very difficult for your average consumer to go into a big box retailer and look at what technology, or even on the internet, if they're on Alibaba or Amazon, depending on where they shop. Yeah, it's very confusing because all the claims look really, really interesting. And then how do they differentiate between the product that cost $100 or the product that cost $5,000? The reality is that they're all different, and that you really do have to do some homework on understanding what is the contaminant that you're worried about. And then, what is an appropriate technology? Because the interesting factor in water is that there's a lot of different ways to solve the same problem. And so one of the global issues that a lot of people talk about today is PFAS, more in North America, but it's starting to become a European problem as well. So it's this chemical that it's an organic acid that has a very long life, very hard to get out of the water. And there's a number of different ways you can remove the PFAS from the water. You could absorb it with activated carbon. You could destroy it with energy, which is usually UV or things like that, ozone, or you could remove it with reverse osmosis. So as a consumer has a concern about PFAS, maybe in their region, they have different technology sources. I would encourage them to continue to research on their own, look for brands that they trust and recognize, and that's usually a pretty good differentiator. But there certainly is area for a nonprofit, a government organization, somebody to help consumers to say, all right, we ranked all these things, and here's the one that works better on this contaminant versus that contaminant. Because PFAS is very different than lead, is very different than fluoride contamination in India. And you really need to understand kind of what is the thing in the water you're worried about, and what is the most cost-effective technology for you.
And of course, around the globe, even here in the UK, we have different scenarios. Everybody's water quality is completely different. So it's and does Aqua Membrane, do you focus on PFAS? Is that something that
we do not necessarily focus directly on PFAS, because we're not making a finished consumer product. So one of our partners, for example, that might integrate our technology into their package, it certainly could be something that they would use. So you think about big appliance or home-based system makers like 3M, Honeywell, Pentair, in Eureka Forbes in India, Samsung in Korea. Those are some of the players that already have a product that is focusing on something like that, and we could make it better, in essence.
I love that. And we can make it better. I think that might be the tagline for the video.
There you go. Call us. We can make it better.
Love that so much. And I always like to finish these interviews, because this is about you, your company, the impact that you're going to have on the globe. Is there anything that you would like to share with the viewers watching this right now The floor
Yeah,
is
I
yours.
think just continue to look for better options. Technology is accelerating in this space. More and more companies are looking at doing high purity water more effectively. We're certainly not the only one. And so as you're looking at expanding manufacturing, moving manufacturing, improving manufacturing, if you're using high purity water, don't just assume it's kind of business as usual. Go do some investigation, contact an engineering company, search the web. You'll probably find a better way to do it. And if all of us move that needle just a little bit, it's really going to make it a big impact.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been fascinating, and speaking from the commercial and the home environment, you can have such a great impact. So anybody watching, reach out to Aqua Membranes, and thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you much, Abby. I appreciate it.
Thank you.